welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast providing commentary on the latest in film, TV, games, and comics. My name is Todd Stoll, and I'm joined by 25-year veteran reporter covering pop culture, video games, and technology for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski. So you smell like a chimney, or what were you? What?
I was burning things.
Oh, like cooking?
Old movies? No. Tax records.
Oh, that's
you
even
never
better.
know.
Yeah. When I was in a pool, so if all of a sudden you hear a loud explosion and no more episodes of this, then you'll know why.
I'm gonna sneeze. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold it.
And there it is.
Sneeze button. Great.
Yeah, it's all good.
Cheap damn board. All right.
So, breaking news.
Yeah.
About 25 minutes ago, it was announced that George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead, any of the Living Dead movies, died
is of the dead
of lung cancer at the age of 77.
Smoker.
Big time. And really, if you look at his
What's wrong
credits,
with him?
if you look at his credits, it's pretty much every of the Dead movie imaginable.
Right.
Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead Returns, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead.
Right.
I can't think of any.
A lot of dead.
A lot of dead. But interestingly enough, you had an opportunity to interview him.
I interviewed George Romero. I'm looking at the story right now. Back in August of 2010.
So 7 years ago, when he was 70, still probably smoking at that point.
Survival. And his most recent at that point was Survival of the Dead. In his 70s.
I mean,
I'm just looking at the questions to see if there's something I want to pull and talk about.
I mean, he's sort of the father of zombie movies.
He's absolutely the father of zombie
He's like
movies.
the father, godfather, the grandfather.
It was hard to ask him questions because he already had every question asked.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Where do you go with that? I had asked him, and I don't know if were there ever any 3D zombie movies?
He
did have a 3D zombie movie?
Night of the Living Dead 3D. I think they redid it they did whatever they do to movies in post-production to make it 3D. So, yeah, he had a 3D movie. But this was, remember, 2010 was pre...
I asked him what would it take to do a 3D zombie movie, and he, of course, said it would take somebody with a checkbook. So he was certainly open to it at the time.
Well, I think that was in like 2013, 2014.
Right.
So apparently somebody
had with a checkbook.
Yeah, somebody had that checkbook on hand, and they made it happen. Anything memorable you can think of in talking to him? I mean, obviously...
So what was memorable was he was a very nice gentleman. Usually what I had found is when you interview people at that level, they're very laid back, and they've heard it all, and they're very happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
And this was another example of that. The guy has, he hit it with one movie that totally kind of changed the genre, introduced the genre, right?
Yep.
And he never looked back.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. You see actors who complain all the time about, I don't want to be typecast as this role, and I'm going to do it for a while, and I'm going to get rid of it. And you know what? He embraced it, and I think that's very respectable.
Right. Especially like actors who wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who refuse to play a character more than 3 or 4 times because they don't want to be typecast. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know how hard it is to get financing for movies in general to make them happen? You should be lucky that you have a franchise to continue to use.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, that was crazy. But it's disappointing. Rest in peace.
Yes.
Love his movies. Some of the greatest iconic horror movies of all time. Just hands down. So good. And, The Walking Dead, I think...
Doesn't exist
without him.
Absolutely not.
And, Fear of the Walking Dead doesn't exist, period.
Right.
I don't want to watch that anymore. So the other news that was sort of breaking today is that Doctor Who announced their 13th Doctor.
Right.
And in a not necessarily so surprising twist, it is the first female to play the Doctor, who will be introduced in December. The actress's name is Jodie Whittaker.
Are you a big Doctor Who fan?
My wife is.
Okay.
I will tune in and out of it. It's a
Right.
little too fantasy for me at times. Other times I think it's pretty good. If it's a good story arc, I'll hang on to it for a little while.
I kind of didn't. When they did the reboot, I was very excited with Eccleston. I think we talked about this before.
Yes.
But I just... And then we had another...
David Tennant.
Right. That kept me interested.
He was great. And Matt Smith was okay, but he was a little too high-strung for me.
And then I got lost after the next guy.
And then it went into Capaldi. Who
I was gone.
Who my wife says it was great, but
Right.
he also was very short. I think he only did 3 seasons, and that was it. And now she is, at least for me, where I recognize her the most is she was in Broadchurch, which they've done a U.S. version of that as well. But I know her specifically from Attack the Block. She is a girl in Attack the Block who is mugged by John Boyega's character and eventually helps them fight off these aliens who are attempting to try to eat them. And it's...
Well, now I don't have to watch the movie. Thanks a lot.
No, you do.
Just gave it, okay.
No, you do. It's amazing.
I can't. I heard it's pretty great.
I can't believe you haven't watched it.
I gotta
It's got
find
John
it.
Boyega from Star Wars.
Listen,
this
man,
was like his debut.
I'm watching Fate of the Furious, and that's clocking in at 2.5 hours. How much time do you think I got?
That was a long movie. We'll talk about that in a second. So yes, and speaking of Star Wars, a new sort of, not really a trailer, but behind the scenes, which actually got me pretty excited for somebody who's not really into Star Wars that much, because it sounds like they're going to swing this thing in a direction no one's expecting. And that could be very cool.
Tell me, what is it?
They haven't said. They just said that they just said that the arc of it is that the trajectory from the first film, you would think it's going to go a certain way, and it does a 180. And that it's about, I don't know, at the end of it, it's Carrie Fisher says it's about family.
But they got a huge issue. Speaking of family.
Well, yeah, she's gone.
Right, which was probably, they were banking on her for the third one.
I have to wonder if there isn't a rewrite where there's some ship that she's on that explodes.
Right.
And they kill her off.
Yeah. Well, they're going to, yeah.
I don't know how you address it.
I don't either, but I can't wait to find out.
But, I mean, some of the stuff that they showed in it was explosions. It looked like the rebel forces, all their ships are exploding.
Yeah. I saw that.
It looks pretty awesome. It could be maybe a little too intense for kids. It looks really dark, which has my attention because I sort of felt like the first ones, why I couldn't watch them is they were a little too campy.
Yeah.
And 7 was, I thought...
They were too merchandisey.
Yes. And 7 I thought was a great... For me, not really knowing them was a good introduction because I think J.J. Abrams did it right. And this guy... has apparently a wicked story to tell, and so much so that Abrams was disappointed he didn't direct. Ooh. So that says something.
Okay. Good.
So a lot coming out, a lot of news. So we're going to take a break, come back, talk Fate of the Furious, and we will talk The Fifth Element.
Yes, 20th anniversary of The Fifth Element.
20 years. That's crazy.
Yep, 4K.
In 4K. So we'll be back right after this.
Yes.
Before I forget, tonight, and from starting tonight for the next several weeks, Game of Thrones is back.
Do you know what the schedule is? Are they 2-hour shows or 1 hour?
That's a good question. I don't know. Usually
somebody told me they were 2 hour. I don't believe they're 2-hour shows.
They're literally going to go 2 hours for
the
next
2 seasons. They're doing one more season, right?
There's one more season.
Broken up into 2 like they normally do.
Yeah, it's like a
6 or 7, then they do another 6.
Then they take a hiatus.
Right,
and they
5
it's
and 5
the exact same thing The Walking Dead does.
Got it.
But we're going to do a little bit of a live promo here as well, because if you watch Game of Thrones and you want to chat about it, you can go to our sponsor, Communities Digital News.
That's right. They're doing
and they're doing live chats for Game of Thrones.
Right.
And it's awesome.
Every week.
And
there is an expert, Gail Falkenthal, who has been following the series religiously and knows way too much about it. And she's more than happy to be online and talk to you about it.
So, to supplement our normal commercial here, we're going to say to go to COMM DigiNews, DIGINEWS.com. And every time there's a Game of Thrones live episode on HBO, log on.
That's right. Start talking,
because there's good stuff there. And there's an expert, and you need that.
You do, because there's a lot going on.
There's so much. I could watch an episode 4 or 5 times and catch up on things.
Yeah, I seriously should have watched the last season.
Okay.
Which I didn't.
I don't know the name of the girl who is with the Khaleesi, who's also in the Fate of the Furious.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a really wide way to get to the
That's
Fate
fine.
of the Furious.
I can deal with that.
Was she in the last one? She must have been, right?
Man, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Honestly, I think I saw bits and pieces of the first one. This is
I thought I was watching a XXX movie for the first 10 minutes.
These things are so unbelievable. I'm trying to think of another franchise that is just so completely out there.
Unbelievable in what level?
Okay.
I'm not arguing with you, just wondering.
Okay, first of all, there's a scientific issue with the latter half of the film, which is hard for me to talk about without spoiling it, but I feel like I need to.
Is this the ice lake?
This is the EMP. Because an EMP shorts out electronics.
Right.
Like, renders them useless.
Right.
If you release an EMP, then you can't take off in a helicopter because all the electronics are fried.
Okay.
And if you EMP a submarine, you can't turn it on because it's fried.
Okay.
So that whole latter half of the film doesn't happen because an EMP destroys all that stuff. All the circuitry explodes and burns.
Really? You can't reset it? You can't do anything?
As far as I know, an EMP will short out anything and render it useless. It literally can take anything and turn it back to the Stone Age.
Okay.
And you have to replace all the equipment.
This won't ruin it for you, so don't
So,
feel like
and it's also like,
away.
I know they're driving cars, but they're driving newer cars that have a lot of electronics in them, and an EMP goes off, and it's just kind of like, how are the cars still running?
Yeah, okay.
Because they all have batteries.
But come on, man, The Rock in prison. Was that amazing?
Listen, man.
He's like the Incredible Hulk.
Listen, Jason Statham, I have
Yep.
watched every film of his. I love that dude.
Yep.
He's like my Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee.
I love Rock in action. When The Rock is in
you
action.
put the two of those two guys together.
Come on.
It's great.
Yep.
And they beat the snot out of each other.
Yep.
Or they try to. That prison scene is ridiculous. This sort of reminds me, the whole Fast and the Furious franchise gets me to the point where like Die Hard is at, where it's just like, you guys are grasping at this point.
Right. But there's always, that kind of movie can last forever. So you just need a bad guy.
Well, in this one, Dom goes bad. So back to the first movie, he's the bad guy.
Right.
And he is
with
wreaking
good reason,
and
which we won't give away.
He's wreaking havoc, and
with his team.
Against
his team.
Yes. Now, the other thing that was so ridiculously hard to watch, and I cannot imagine what it looked like on 4K, is when they hijacked all of the like self-driving cars.
Oh, the zombie car scene?
And where they all like take the turn and they smash into the building, which looks so fake to begin with. How bad was it on 4K?
I thought it was great.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious, but then again, self-driving cars are not connected, so...
And all the cars falling out of the...
I mean, that's where the $200 million budget came from.
But wait a minute, you're saying it's fake, but this was practical work.
Oh, yeah.
They hid the drivers underneath the car seats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
no, but I mean, the cars falling out of the parking structures, that's not real.
Yeah.
That's real?
Yes. They showed it. If you would have watched some of the featurettes,
I couldn't watch
They
them.
showed cars getting jacked out of the side of the building.
But the one where they're all flying at once, they're all smashing into stuff. It's so CGI. I mean, it's like there's the $200 million budget. It's like hijacking zombie cars, which again you can't do because they're not connected to anything.
And I'll give you $200 million if you'll give me $1 billion back.
I thought it was $2 billion. Wasn't it $2 billion?
No.
Oh, was it only $1
It's only
billion?
$1 billion.
Oh, well, yeah, but was that worldwide?
Yeah. So
Okay.
what? It
All
doesn't
right.
count.
These movies won't go away. It's like
no, this is continuing.
It's like Police Academy.
Right.
It's like silly Police Academy.
Right. But those cars are cool. That 66 red vet Stingray.
In the very beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
I am a huge Dodge Charger fan, and this film just loves Dodge Chargers.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Charger is the ultimate muscle car.
And I love Kurt Russell in anything. And Kurt Russell's here. Even if he does nothing, I'm fine with that.
What really pissed me off...
And then he just shows off the blotches on his skin.
What really pissed me off is they had to crowbar Scott Eastwood into this. And
yeah.
I'm
little nobody.
And I'm sorry, but he just... I don't know if he just needs, like... I'm so used to his dad and, like, the bravado he has and the gravitas. And then he talks, and it's like he's whiny, and he doesn't have that command.
He's not Clint yet.
And he's not, no. And it's hard for me to watch him because, God, is it annoying.
Right.
I mean...
And you didn't like the mini tank. You got a problem with that, too?
No, listen, the fact that there's a submarine that's being hijacked and blowing through ice and all this mayhem is going on. If you just want to suspend belief and you want to sit there and have a mind-numbing, awesome good time for 2 hours and 30 minutes, this is a home run. This is your billion-dollar franchise. But it's so silly. It's just, I mean,
it's Expendables.
I read something that said the next one might take place in space.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Moonraker. Come on now.
You can't have fast cars in space. How's that work?
I don't know. We're going to find out, though.
I think they're gearing up for 9 and 10. That's a ridiculous amount of movies. What other series has had 8 sequels?
I don't know.
Harry Potter, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is it. They're going to surpass it. I don't know. On the sheer ridiculousness and the sheer fun of this movie, I give it an A.
Right.
But there's just some things...
Somebody liked it.
But you know what?
You know what I mean? I don't care if the critics didn't like it.
Oh, I don't know that the critics hated it. But
right.
Again, that whole second half of the movie is a moot point with an EMP. I'm just saying. I'm just going to throw that out there and say that's so ridiculous. But whatever.
It will not impact your enjoyment of the movie.
No, it's a rip-roaring good time.
Right.
It is ridiculous.
So here's something ridiculous that I don't know if you caught. No, you wouldn't have caught it. There's an extended cut of this movie, but you have to download it. It's storage, iCloud, whatever, UV, ultraviolet. What is wrong? If you're a consumer and you spend the time and money to buy this movie in a 4K UHD package, why don't they offer the extended cut in the package? I understand there's a transition happening where 10 years from now, we may not even be holding a disc. But for the people who are die-hard people who buy those discs, it is absurd that you cannot watch it without... And here, what's the once you download it, the code, now you're still stuck. Because now you got to make sure your smart TV is compatible with whatever you're doing, and you have to have a decent broadband connection. You can't watch this stuff without a...
Well, and honestly, it doesn't... For me, when you look at the packaging, it doesn't really stand out that it says use your code inside to unlock the extended director's cut only on digital.
Right.
I mean, it's not highlighted in a way that expects you expects you to get it. So I guess if you really want to watch the full extended director's cut, don't buy the Blu-ray. Just go on to iTunes.
Right.
And buy it there.
Maybe that's their ultimate goal.
I don't know. So how was the 4K? Must have been ridiculous.
Right, because if you're a car fan, there's no chance that you're going to get a better look at those cars.
There's cars on fire. There's wheels on fire. There's exhaust on fire. There's flames. There's missiles.
Havana, Cuba looks amazing. It looks so lush and so colorful. The streets, the cars. The cars in Cuba are from the 50s still.
Yeah.
They have not, for whatever happened, it is painful to watch these cars get destroyed, though. And you'll see it way more detail than you want to see, right? So the other thing is you're going to notice when you watch 4K are the actors' faces and the toll it's taking over the years.
They
wrinkled, blemished, blotched, freckled.
I'm going to stop you right there. It's just as noticeable on the Blu-ray.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it's worse on 4K.
It's bad. I mean, Vin Diesel is starting to look like Groot.
Yep. If you look at The Rock, you can see the stretch lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the.
I mean, at some point, that dude cannot keep up.
Right.
His muscle mass. He just can't. He's like the hottest actor ever.
Yeah.
And he's great. He's an amazing actor.
He is.
He's so good. Everything he's in, and it ticks me off. He's a wrestler.
Except for Baywatch.
But you know, well, I don't know. Yeah. Did you watch that?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm going to pass that one to you when it comes out because you
I watched Chips.
took control of Chips, no problem.
It was all right. Okay. All right. You got anything else you want to talk about this one?
No, there's a commentary track. It's worth listening to.
On both. On both
discs. God bless F. Gary Gray. This was his first Furious film, I think. And, you know, he followed the formula. He did not deviate. So, A. It's ridiculous, but A.
Okay.
You won't be disappointed.
All right. You want to dig into the next one or you want to take a break?
Break.
All right. We'll be back.
You asked for it, got it more than once.
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
What?
I have no idea what to do with that.
Okay. All right. Well,
We were figuring out Hobbit lineage, and it wasn't going well.
no, it wasn't going well. And that's okay. We're creeping up on time for Game of Thrones.
That's right.
And the excitement
We're gonna get
is
this
just
thing done.
Yeah, so let's get it done. So Fifth Element, 20th anniversary on 4K, I'm assuming.
It is on 4K. And if you're... Okay, so the short story is they remastered this in 4K in 2015, and they released a Blu-ray. So you got to see the 4K remaster on Blu-ray back then. They've re-released it again with the same remaster, but now you can watch it on your 4K equipment.
Mm-hmm. Difference?
It looks great. I mean, the problem is it was a 35 millimeter restoration, so there's some grain because that's how films are.
Yeah.
It's film.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is sort of surprising in that you have Tarantino, you have Edgar Wright, and I think you have Christopher Nolan, who are still doing 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter.
I mean, when Eastwood re-released Unforgiven in 4K, he maintained the purest sense of the source material.
I mean, there's nothing... I still enjoy watching a film that was shot on film, not digital.
I do too.
I love it.
Yeah. But here's something I didn't notice when I saw the movie for the first 50 times. There is a tremendous amount of water being released by the actors.
They're constantly moist.
I can't believe... This is the thing I picked up in 4K.
Just how sweaty they are?
Eye glistening, night sweats, tears, back hair and hand sweating, brow dampness, moist upper lips, even moisture fogging Zorg's translucent plastic, that little helmet he kind of wears.
Yeah.
It fogs up at one point. When he sees the evil entity, calls him on the phone.
So
you know
the question
I mean?
is how hot was it when they were shooting this thing?
Man, I don't know, but everybody's perspiring.
Okay, when the next time we talk to Bruce Willis, which
Yeah.
just around the corner
that could
for us,
be soon. We'll ask him about how hot it was on the set.
How hot was it when you were filming Fifth Element? Because in the 4K, you guys look like
They
you
are
were
sweating all over the place. Interesting.
So, if you've lived under a rock and you've never seen this movie, the actors and actresses, you've got Bruce Willis
As Corbin Dallas, the toughest cab driver in the galaxy.
the greatest character name ever,
Yep.
in my opinion.
Yep.
You've got Milla Jovovich,
Sure.
who plays
Lilu. A supreme being
Chris Tucker,
who really goes out on the ledge.
Ruby.
Yeah. Kind of a TV reality show host.
Yes. Before there was reality TV.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Gary Oldman?
As the villain, the unrepentant corporate villain, Zorg. And this guy's great in this movie. You cannot believe he does a giggle, a laugh in this movie that is unbelievable. I laugh so hard every time he does that scene.
It's such a great sci-fi movie. It's
from Luc Besson,
it's
French director.
Yeah.
From 1997, and it is just classic. It is an epic sci-fi fantasy
And why
film.
is it's not on people's list of like top 20 sci-fi movies? Because it's great.
I don't know, because every time I bring it up to someone, they go, "Oh man, that's a great movie."
Yeah. And
like
you know what?
I don't think we've ever mentioned The Fifth Element together.
Anytime it's on, I will immediately stop what I'm doing, pop on the Blu-ray,
and watch some,
or pop on the digital version and watch it. Because you can't watch it with commercials. You have to watch it in its true form, and it's so good.
And Ian Holm from Lord of the Rings is Father Vito Cornelius, which just great cast. Great cast.
Small cast.
Right.
Lot of puppeteers.
And all the creature effects are pretty much practical.
Yeah.
So, which I learned a lot about in the extras, which were from the Ultimate Edition, which was released in, oh my goodness, it was released a while ago.
We're just going to say a while ago.
2005 DVD release. They loaded up the extras.
I just want to say how impressed I am with your homework. Between digging that thing up about George A. Romero and now this,
I'm on a roll.
We are on top of our game tonight.
The best extra, which I find absolutely fantastic, was they did an 18-minute piece on the actual inspiration for the design. And what Luc Besson was able to do was he pulled together like two of the greatest sequential or comic book artists in the history of France, Jean Mobius and Jean-Claude Messier, and both of these guys helped design the movie. There's interviews with them, and they talk about what they did and how they did it, and the vehicles and the spaceships and the character models and all this kind of stuff. Fantastic.
Well, and I think the most underrated being, if you will, in this whole movie is the opera singer,
the diva.
That's
right.
The blue, the sort of flowing, I guess, tubes like all throughout her body. It's just a cool.
And there's a 16-minute interview with the actress, which is a rare thing.
Not to mention, think about how toxic all the paint was that she probably wore at that time.
She had actually mentioned that one of the couple things. One thing, she was upset that she thought her performance, because it was broken up, people wouldn't appreciate. In the movie, there's a fight scene that goes on while she's singing.
Right.
And the director cuts away to that, back and forth between her and that.
Oh, I thought that was that sort of drove the fight scene.
Yeah,
it felt like
did.
She was singing
the
score.
Because she was kind of bummed. So what they do is they show the entire sequence of her singing.
Oh.
Which is free. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't even mention this. There's a new 10-minute interview with the director on the 4K UHD.
Is there anything with Willis?
He does a 4-minute interview from like 2005.
Okay.
And it's good.
He doesn't really do, I've noticed, a lot of special features elements because he doesn't need to. I'm sure a part of it is, Bruce, you show up, you do the film, you leave, we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah,
right.
We'll put everybody else on the screen, and you don't really have to promote it that much either. It's such a good movie. It's one of my favorites. You can't not watch it if it's on.
That's right. The whole look of New York City, or the major city, is it in New York? Must be in. I don't know. Isn't that ridiculous?
It gives you a feel of it, but you can't tell because everything.
The flying sushi boat. Mr. Kim's flying sushi boat.
That is literally one of the coolest things. Between that and then the cars that, just the way that they maneuver.
The curved, the curves on the cars
and
the flying cars.
Just everything about it is great. That's all I can say. I'm at a loss for words of what else to say.
If you don't own this, obviously, in any format, go buy it.
No, if you don't own it, then there's something wrong with you.
Right.
You should
already have it already.
Yeah, go watch it. go get it. Upgrade your system to 4K to enjoy the sweat on everyone, and you'll appreciate it for what it's worth.
That's right. If you're looking for sweat, this is the movie.
That's great. Real excited about that. All right, you got anything else? What's coming out next week?
Kong.
You ready for that?
I saw it.
And are you excited?
I liked it.
Okay, good. Well, we'll
So
talk about it.
You're gonna like it.
Good.
Maybe not.
No, come on.
I don't know.
Come on. It's got to be better than Chips. I mean, I've said my piece on that. It was fine.
Better than The Fate of the Furious.
Well, different. It's different. It's different. All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Hey, I'm good. Again, we want to just let everyone know, in case you didn't already, you can find us pretty much everywhere online.
Right.
Facebook.
We'll
there.
often even hang out online.
Yeah, we're there.
Just type my name in.
Yeah, we live in various corners of the internet.
Yeah.
Tune in.
Dark parts of the internet.
Go on to Apple for podcasts.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. You can find us. Just give a listen. Let us know what you
Right.
think.
And he's Todd Stowell.
I am Todd Stowell today, and you are
I'm Zorg.
Zorg.
I'm a sweaty Zorg.
And you're surprisingly, I didn't want to say this, but your visor has fogged up a little bit.
It is Zorg, right? What if you're really stupid if the villain isn't Zorg? It's Zorg. It's Zorg Corporation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Multipass.